Today it's Elise with Elise Lightens a Load, and today I thought I would bring you along for something a little different. I'm going to cook up one of my favorite soup/stews and do a couple of other weekly meal prep items. So I thought I'd bring you along for a change. So first off, my oven is preheated to 400 degrees, and I've got three Asian sweet potatoes here, the ones that are white inside, and so I'm just going to put them in the oven and cook them up while we're doing the rest of everything. So they typically take about 45 minutes or an hour, so we'll let them go while we do the rest of things. So to start with, this soup or stew, it's called the Sweet Potato Lentil Stew. And I got it from, I think it's Fit Foodie. I want to say this right. Yes, fitfoodiefinds.com is where I got the recipe from. And I've used this for a while. I do make a couple of little adjustments to it because it does call for oil to saute with. And I'm just going to saute with a little bit of water or maybe some soup broth. So it also calls for chilies, and I'm not big on some spices, so that's just a little bit too much for me. So I leave that out. And I don't, the rest of the ingredients, I don't necessarily stick to the exact measurements. For the most part I do, but the tomato sauce and stuff like that, I don't necessarily. So let's get started. I'm going to turn my oven on to medium here. And here's one of the things where I don't stick to the recipe exactly. So it calls for half an onion. I am just going to, there's way more than half an onion here, but I'm just going to pour in a whole bunch of this because I like onions. I like cooked onions. So I'm going to saute these up. And I just put like a little bit of saran wrap over my onion so that the lid doesn't absorb the smell of the onions. So we'll get rid of that. And I'm just going to let these saute down for a second. Now I also, some of the items I cooked because they take a little while to do. They take a long while to do. And I can never get them quite as cooked as I like them by the time I'm ready to eat. So one of those things is celery. So I've just taken my celery and I've pre-cooked it. And I'm just going to toss this in here too. Between the two of them, and you can probably hear it sizzling. Now the recipe calls for 4 stalks of celery, and that's probably pretty close to what I have, maybe a little bit more. You can hear this sizzling. So I'm just going to throw in just a little bit of water just to stop it from burning on the bottom. So I'm going to cook these up for a minute. Now it also calls for 4 cloves of garlic, minced. I'm going to move these off of here because my oven is hot. It calls for 4 cloves of garlic minced, and I didn't have any fresh garlic at the moment, so I had some that's already, in the jar and it's already diced. So I just grabbed what, I thought looked fairly close to 4 cloves. So if I'm off a little bit, that's okay because I like garlic too. So I'm actually just going to throw that in here as well. Let them sweat up for a few minutes. So my sweet potatoes, I cooked them up earlier. Actually, I had a really large sweet potato in the fridge that I had eaten about a third of it. The rest of it I just had in there ready to eat. So I actually just chopped it up. It's a little bit mushy, but it's going in at the end, so we're okay with that. Carrots. I pre-cooked them too because celery, like carrots, take a long time and they're hard to cook. Now I wanted some extra as well just for me. so to eat just with my meals, so that's why I have so much. It doesn't call for, it calls for, I believe, 2 carrots. So that's maybe a quarter of this or a third of this. We'll see how much I decide to put in. As I mentioned, I don't really adhere extremely good to the recipe. Now I'm going to try and see if I can show you this. I'm going to move my laptop with my recipe on it there. And I'm going to try and see if I can get you a little closer to the stove. There you go. Now you've got a better view into the pot. Okay, that's pretty good. So you can see that the onions are sweating up, and the celery and the garlic, and I really just put them all in together so that when I go to put the spices in, they will all be able to you know, absorb them together, and just kind of a blending of flavors here. This is starting to smell good. I'm starting to smell the onions as they're starting to sweat, so that's all good. Okay, so a lot of these onions are starting to become much more translucent and getting done. So I'm going to put in my spices, and I don't know if I can see these, show you these without mixing them all together. But I've got some salt, some pepper, some chili, some curry cumin, and oregano in here. I just kind of mix them around and shake them up a bit here so they don't really lump into one thing. I kind of mix them in a little bit. You don't have to do it too much, but just to get those all in there. I wish you could smell this. This smells so good. Oh, see, it's starting to stick to the bottom again. A little bit more water. Deglaze the bottom of that pot. So that's mixed around. Now I'm going to start putting in the other ingredients. As much as I can, I get salt-free. Now you notice that there was a little bit of salt in there. Normally I don't put that in. However, I did for this recipe. But normally just me, I wouldn't add that in. And this is just no salt added, vegetable soup. Oftentimes I make my own broth. I got a bunch of veggie scraps freezing in the fridge, but for this video I'm just going to do it this way. So this is 4 cups. I'm just going to add this in. Get that all in. And it calls for a cup of water. I've got about 2/3 of a cup there. I'm going to just grab a little bit more. Throw that in as well. And I'm hovering like between medium and like medium high type thing. So I'm going to put in the tomatoes and the tomato sauces next. So this is actually, it calls for a 15-ounce can of tomatoes. This is 790, hold on, need my glasses. 796 milliliters, which is probably going to be about 20 or 25 ounces, but this is what I use. Okay, lentils, I want to put them in. That's 1 cup of lentils. It calls for 14 ounces of tomato sauce, and I'm using Hunt's. But again, that would be about 440 milliliters, somewhere in that range. And the can came $3.98. The next one up was $6.98, I think. So I'll use this one, and then we'll compensate it for the fact that I used a little bit more diced tomatoes. So we'll get this in here. And it calls for 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Just open the can. Again, like I said, I'm not always very exacting with these things. Basically, So those are in there. I've turned the heat up. Here's my mushrooms. Again, if I was buying them fresh, I'd get cremini or white mushrooms, and I would probably dice them up a little smaller than this, but today I'm not going to. Let's hold. I'm just going to take some carrots and I'm going to toss them in. Just however many I decide I want in this. And they're not super soft, but they are, you know, pretty much cooked. They're cooked good enough to eat, but they're not like mushy soft or anything. And sweet potatoes. Now this is a 4-cup bowl, so we'll go with that. And oh, doesn't that look good? Oh, that looks so good. Now there's a good chance that some of this sweet potato, because it's already cooked, is going to break down and just become thickness. Spoons, my teaspoon, apple cider vinegar, 1, 2. So these can go out of the way. This, wrap over this, and I just kind of push it down in there. Make sure it's kind of right against it so it doesn't get a lot of air in there. And I'll just put this in the fridge and use it on another recipe tomorrow. Carrots, we'll put those back in the fridge. Here, and one of them is beans, northern white beans. And the other one is spinach. So I have 2 options here. I've got a brick of spinach leaves that I often put in. I actually buy it specifically for that purpose, to put it into this recipe. But I've got something else that I'm going to use up on this particular batch of soup because I've got a few left over and I want to get rid of them. So hold on a minute. Let me put this away. So these are called chopped spinach nuggets, and I hope you can see that. And they're like little pellets. So this is what they look like, and they're a little pellet of frozen spinach that you can get, and I guess they're about 1 ounce maybe each. They're almost like a round ice cube tray size. Anyways, you can get those at Walmart, and I'm going to toss a few of these in a little bit. They go in last when everything else is cooked. So most of the stuff that's in here is pretty much cooked. Normally I would cook this for half, you know, at least an hour or so. But in this case, like, the veggies are pretty much cooked. The biggest thing I'm waiting for here is for these lentils to cook. I think I'm actually just going to put these beans and this spinach in, and we'll just let it kind of simmer away for a little while. I drained and rinsed my Great Northern beans. Now I think this calls for 14 ounces. And this is a bigger can too. But in it goes. See, this is why I don't use this pot, because it's already, let me tilt you back down here. It's already getting pretty full. Doesn't that look great? Does that not look awesome? Okay, let's throw in some spinach. Pardon the freezer burn. Where's that one I just had? We're just going to throw, I just had one. Where'd it go? Where did it go? There. So I'm going to just toss these in and let them kind of disintegrate in here as it's cooking. And we'll come back. Oh. Jeez, dress map can't take me anywhere. All right. So we'll let this do its thing for a few minutes. And I'm actually just going to set this on here. Get rid of that and that. And I think while we're waiting for everything else to cook up, I think I'm going to make up a salad here. And turn this soup down a bit. It's boiling pretty good. Oh, this spinach is breaking up in here. Looking good, looking good. On her website where she's got this recipe, it says, let me see the nutrient content here. It says it's got 12 grams of fat per serving, sorry, I don't have my contacts. I need my reading glasses. 35 grams of carbs and 12 grams of protein. And there's 10 servings in this batch. So I think that would easily be about 1.5 cups to 2 cups per serving. Now, I'm going to cut this up. Cut the bottom off. Occasionally I try to regrow these, but I don't always have the best luck. So, we'll see. So I'm going to take this head of lettuce and I'm going to cut it lengthwise, make it a little smaller. I think I'm going to cut this in half and do it in halves. So just bear with me. I'm just going to put this back over here by the bag. Okay. Let's take this and fold it. I usually fold it in about half. Lettuce on my hands here. And it's been about half an hour. Just gonna go check on these sweet potatoes. You wanna come along? There we go. Oh, they're still pretty hard, so we need to leave them be for a while. Okay. Down here. So lettuce. So I usually like purple onions in my salad. And I had one purple onion left. So purple onion is one thing we'd put in there. And I chop my pepper a little different than a lot of people do. Here, I'll bring you a little closer so you can see. Hopefully it won't fall in the soup. So I basically take my pepper, cut it in half. Oh, what a mess. Normally it comes out really easy. But I can just take it and grab it here, pull this out. There, it's supposed to come out a little smoother like that. Take the seed chunks out and then just take the excess off of the flesh. If there's a couple more seeds there, I just, tap it on the table or on the cutting board and it's all good. And then I'm just gonna slice these up. Once they're all sliced up, I'll dice them and I'll probably put these in a bowl. So let's just chop these up roughly. They're just basically whatever size I want them. Oh, please don't judge my chopping skills. I know that this is bad. Okay, so I'm going to turn this soup/stew off and I'm just going to sit it back at the back. I have some tomatoes here. I would normally chop them up. Yeah, there they are. They're just little things, hey? They're about the size of a large plum. I've got a couple of those left, so I'll toss those in when I get ready to eat them. And I also usually put zucchini in here and I spiralize that up. And I spiralize these, but for ease today, I'm just going to take this one and shred it. So for now, I'm only going to do about half of it. So that's how that looks. All shredded up. So we're just going to put these in here because... So I have a couple more carrots here. And I'm just going to chop the ends off, put them over with the zucchini. Real quick. I'm going to give them and this shredder a rinse and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's do a carrot or two. We'll shred those up. And in the interest of not losing a finger, I'm going to save this for something else later. Or maybe I'll toss that in with my with my veggie stock as well. All right, let's do the rest of this one. Just out of curiosity, I mean, I know what I put on my salads, but everybody likes their salads differently. Is there something special that you put on your salads that you really like? I know, like Tammy from Nutmeg Notebook. Oh, her salads are incredible. I don't think anybody's salads could rival hers. She lays them out really beautifully too. So, you know, they look like, they always look like they're exotic or, you know, something like that. So there's my carrots. Okay. So these are typically the ingredients that I would have in my salad. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. So, and my two tomatoes, we'll toss them in up there. Just get rid of the container. So those are typically the basics of my salad ingredients. Sometimes I throw in some flax seeds, some ground flax, or some sesame seeds, depending on what type of dressing I'm using. My favorite one is a mustard tahini. This will probably last me about 3 or 4 days. I'm going to move these to the back because you know what everything is here. Now, these are some of the other things that I have. This is, and I have a ton of this on the go all the time. As you can see, I've already gotten into it. That's my broccoli. And that is, in there was this is a Great Value 1.5, I don't know if you can see that or read it, 1.5 kilogram bag of broccoli florets. So normally I use these ones from President's Choice. That's kind of a Canadian brand, I think. And I'll often do up 2 of these smaller bags at a time. But this bigger bag of broccoli, like some of these are really tiny. It's almost mushy. So I'm going to stick in the future to the smaller bags and do 2 of them, I think, after I'm done with that other big bag. Now, I absolutely love this cheese sauce. Let me just show you. I'm just going to mix it up a bit. How thick this is. So, I'm the only one eating it. So, as you can see, it's really thick. And I could have, I suppose, blended a little longer in the blender to make it a little smoother. But again, just me. I'm okay with it being like that. And this is I switched out the plate. This is a different sweet potato, and the skin's gotten a little loose on it. This one is purple inside, and I don't know if anybody's ever had these. I'm probably going to have this for dinner tonight, along with a huge bunch of broccoli. But as you can see, it's really purple inside. Now, this one is probably my 3rd favorite. And when you buy it, can you see how there's like little ridges and wrinkles here? Part of that's because it's, you know, cooked. But most of it comes like that with all these little ridges and wrinkles. And that's how you can tell the purple one. Because they both look purple. They're both, you know, in grocery stores around here, they're both side by side in the stores. So what can you do? I'm just going to see if I can grab this other one out for a minute. I want to check and see if I can, the small one, if it's done good enough for me to be able to show you. Let's just take a peek here. It's not quite done enough, but when it's done, I'm going to show you how this one looks. I might just put a picture of it in there. So oftentimes I'll have the sweet potatoes, the Asian ones. The one that's in the oven right now is my absolute favorite. And then the orange ones. Like I said, I had a little bit left over that I put in the soup. Oh, there we go. And that's how that soup looks. And let me tell you, it is good and it is filling, and there is nothing bad for you in that soup, I'll tell you. That's pretty much my salads, my broccoli. I didn't cook any up, but sometimes I'll have other ones as well, green beans or something else as well. Sweet potatoes, soup, and this week it's going to be the sweet potato lentil soup. So this is a real sweet potato week. We'll often cook up, this is a 5-pound bag, and I will often cook this whole bag up with the skins. So if I'm just going to leave them in chunks, I'll cook them in my Instant Pot. If I want to mash them, I tend to find that boiling them in water works better because they retain the moisture and I don't have to put as much starchy water in it or anything like that in there. So I like it, if I'm going to mash them, I like them boiled. If I'm going to have potatoes, like if I'm having them mashed, I'll fry them. I'll make like a mashed potato pancake with some onions and stuff, some cut up onions, which is probably what I can use the rest of these for. Or if I'm going to just cook them, eat them whole, or whatever the case may be, then I'll mash them down with a fork on my plate, and they get cheese sauce. Everything gets cheese sauce. Broccoli gets cheese sauce, potatoes get cheese sauce, and then salsa. For me, mild salsa, but salsa. I didn't add everything in because I also have overnight oats often for breakfast, sometimes for dessert because they're that good. But this is pretty much what I eat in a week, and if you found value in it, if you like these recipes, the soup, the sweet potato lentil soup, please subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you think of this, and if you've tried that soup or stew and what you think of it. Again, I got it from fitfoodie.com, sweet potato lentil stew. Other than that, thank you for coming along. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.